All right, everyone. In this video, which is going to be our second video in a series that will help you get oriented and prepared for the course here as we begin, this video is going to deal with purchasing and using our textbook. And the textbook for this course is an ebook or an electronic book, and it's just digital. There's no physical book to actually purchase. And so I want to walk you through how to purchase it and how to access the materials, because it's a little more involved than just simply walking to the bookstore and picking it up off the shelf, essentially. Okay, so in order to access the spot to purchase the book in the first place, I have this link here under our welcome section. So I'm in modules, and then under the welcome module at the top here, there's a link that says textbook ebook purchase link. Click here to purchase our text. So you click into that, and that will bring up this page here. It has some information, online only. It's an ebook, no physical book, etc. And then we've got a link here. So we click on that link, and that should reroute you to the purchase page. And one thing to make sure that you can see is that it says Butte College here in the category at the bottom. So if you scroll down, on the page that it leads you to, make sure it says Butte College at that certain spot. And then this is the text essentially. And so you're going to click Buy Now, and then you'll go through the process of putting in your, credit card information and purchasing the resource, etc. And then once you purchase the materials, you should receive you'll receive an email at that point, and the email should have, let me make sure I'm saying this exactly right. Actually, I'll pull up the actual direction from the A&E publisher, and I'll read that to you here. So let me click over to that separate window to review with you that information. Okay, so here's some publication materials. This is directly from the book publisher that talks about using this resource, this ebook with Canvas. And so we have integrated the course materials in when it says AME materials or AME content, that is the textbook, and then some of the other resources attached to the textbook, like some of the homework that we do, etc. And as it notes here, in order to access those materials, you will need a valid PIN from either a new textbook / workbook package or purchased at our online store. So we're gonna do the purchasing at the online store. That's the link that we were just looking at. And so once you go through that purchase process and you click buy on that homepage we just saw, it's going to, I believe, either send you an email with a PIN number, or it's going to just show that to you on the screen. I haven't gone through the process of purchasing it, as a student. As you can imagine, as an instructor, I just have my instructor version. But I believe definitely in your email, I've helped students before, and they get a PIN in their email. So be careful. Make sure you know what email you input when you purchase, because that's where the PIN number is going to go. And if you do have issues and you can't find the PIN later, I can reach out to their technical resources if you need help with that. So just let me know. But something to note that often comes up is you will not need an enrollment key. It will ask you for an enrollment key, but since we are using the resources as a Canvas connected course, you will not need an enrollment key. So ignore that question. You will need a PIN code to just set up your access. That's what you're purchasing to access the materials, but you don't need an enrollment key. So once you have a valid PIN, like I said, it should be in your email after you purchase the book through the link that we were just looking at previously. And here, that's just to refer back to that. You click on this link, you pay the money, then you get a PIN code sent to your email address. And then the very first time that once you have the PIN number in hand or in your email, then you're going to follow this. It talks about accessing a resource, and I'll go over that in a moment. the very first time you get to that place where you're going to access the online textbook resources through Canvas, you'll be prompted to enter your PIN number. It'll look like this, enter your unique PIN code. And then after you enter that code, you'll have access to the resources, and you will not have to put this PIN code in again. So keep that in mind. Okay, and as far as accessing the resources then, and I'll show you this in our Canvas course here in a moment, but as it notes here, you're going to log into your school's Canvas system and access your course just as your school has instructed you to do. So just as per usual, you learn how to log into Canvas, learn how to find our course like I've discussed in the first video in the series. And then once you get into the course, from the course homepage, you're going to select, I would select modules. This tells you to select assignments, but select modules. And then what you're going to be looking for here is something that looks like this rectangular gray button. And when you click a button of this sort, it essentially logs you into the online textbook. And so once you click that button, after you're in Canvas, you click a button, and I'll show you where a spot is to click that in our Canvas course specifically. But once you click this button, it'll take you into the resource, and then you'll have access to the materials. And so here I'll click back over to our home page, and let me view as student here. Oh geez, come on. Let's go leave student view, sorry. This will take one moment. There we go. Okay, so now that we're just back into our student view, as I mentioned, so let me just recap what I was just saying. So you're going to purchase the materials here. You're going to get a PIN code through your email, and possibly just on a home page that it provides to you right after you finish the purchase. But it definitely will be in the email that you provide. And so once you have that code, you're going to come back to Canvas, click on your modules tab, and then go down to anywhere that says homework. Here you can do chapter 1 homework, but for any chapter, click into the homework. And this is where you're going to see this rectangular this rectangular gray button. And so you're going to click on that. And then you're going to go through, and your view will look a little bit different. I'm in the test student view in Canvas, so it looks a little bit funny. But the first time that you do this process, it's going to prompt you to put that PIN code in. And then when you put the PIN code in, it's now going to allow you to access the materials. And one little quirk that I find is now, and at that point, you will have registered your version of the textbook, and you should be able to access the materials, essentially. One little quirk here that I will point out, whenever you want to access the materials then in the future, you're going to go through the same process of logging in to Canvas, and you're going to go in just like you normally would by putting in your View College password, etc. But the first thing that I would do to make sure that you can get into the online resources is, again, just come to a homework spot, any homework page where you see this rectangular gray button, click in that. And you don't need to do anything in the homework module, but just clicking into it will open the homework module. And then at that point, you'll have the access to all of the resources, such as the actual textbook. And so if you want to click to access the whole textbook, you can click on this link and then click this link here, and it will take you to the actual full online textbook, and you can go through the whole thing, and it has links and all this kind of stuff. So this is the full textbook here. Okay. And so that provides you with the ability to access there. And as I mentioned, I find it a little quirky that you have to go through and click on the gray, homework button to get access to that. Because if you don't click the gray button, you come into Canvas and try to access the online textbook through this link, it will try to lead you to a login page that is not applicable because our course is Canvas linked. So you have to go through that homework gray rectangular button first. And then after doing that, you'll have access to all of the resources as applicable. Now, I will note the only place, and I'll dive into this a little more detail in a subsequent video that specifically talks about the homework. The only time that you're really going to need to access these resources specifically is when you are doing the homework. The video lecture will be through, just a YouTube link of a lecture that I've made. The notes I provide to you in class and in a I think a PDF or a Word document form there. Our in-class quizzes will just be done in class. Workbook exercises, I have downloads of Excel spreadsheets to complete these in. And so the only place where you're actually going to do work in our online resources is in this homework. And that is why there's that rectangular gray button. You're going to click this and then you're going to do your homework. And that's going to directly interface with the AME, the textbook online resources. And you're going to do your homework there. And then the grade that you get will automatically post to the grades section for you in Canvas, etc. So, like I mentioned, I'll dive into a little more detail on that in a subsequent video that specifically talks about the homework. And hopefully that will make things even more clear for you all. But just know that there is a lot of the work that you can do without having to specifically go into the textbook to view anything there. You're not going to have to open the textbook up, for example, and sift through to get to the end of the chapter and do some of the homework problems there, or something like that. There's no specific, you don't have to do the review exercises. Now, I would say if you're struggling or you have a question or you just want to read up further on the material, definitely get into the textbook here and do as much as you want. With that, it'll explain these topics in further detail, and I think that's great to spend your time doing if you have that time. But do keep in mind that I have also prepared video lectures that basically give an overview of the content from the text. I provide video walkthroughs for the homework and the workbook exercises and other things of that nature, so that you don't necessarily have to have the workbook open or the homework textbook open at the same time to complete those exercises. Again, that's a topic that I will discuss in more detail in a subsequent video in this series that talks about each of these individual types of items that we'll be completing. So, all right, I know the text has a few little quirks to it, and it's a little bit more challenging than just going down to the bookstore and picking something up. I fully understand that and hope that you don't run into any issues, but hopefully this video will get you on the right track. And if you are having any problems accessing the materials, definitely reach out to me. I can jump on a Zoom call to help you be able to access, or if you bring your laptop to class and I can sit with you and look at that. If you need help there, I'd be happy to do that as well. So just keep me posted and make sure that you're able to get into the textbook as soon as possible. And one thing to note, I did for the first two chapters put PDFs from the text there. So this, you don't have to actually access the online materials or purchase the materials or anything. You can just download a PDF, and it does give you a warning thing here as trying to view this file within Canvas specifically. Oh, that worked okay. So you can go in and see the first two chapters as kind of a preview, but you are not going to be able to do the homework assignment, like I mentioned, which is directly linked to the AME online resources. So I would highly recommend that you get the textbook as soon as possible so you can work on your homework problems. If you do have some technical issues and something's coming up and it is going to be a week or two before you're able to purchase those for some reason, just be sure to communicate with me and we can make specific arrangements regarding due dates for the homework to accommodate your situation if there is a need for that. So just let me know. All right, thanks everyone. I'll see you in the next video in this series.